Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on the day of Arsenal's Europa League opener against Rapid Vienna tonight. I will get to that game a little bit later in this video, talking about team news, my predicted 11, which will probably be completely wrong, as is always the case for these sort of Europa League games. But there's plenty to talk about before we get on to actual football matters. And I'm sure you are all seeing what happened yesterday. The Mesut Ozil saga exploded once again, possibly for the last time, certainly until January anyway. And I thought we have to have a little bit of a discussion about that, about what Ozil said, about what Mikel Arteta said in his reply, and all the fallout that has come from it. And other stuff to talk about as well, including an interesting little bit of potential transfer news, even though the transfer window is shut. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But first of all, just to say thank you as always to all of my subscribers and all of the thanks for all the likes, thanks for the comments. If you're new to this channel, then I am, as I said, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal. I cover Arsenal all across the country and Europe, COVID permitting, obviously not at the moment, and try and keep you updated as I can across all my channels with all things Arsenal. You find me on Twitter at Charles_Watts. I'm on Facebook as well, and you find all my stories on goal.com. Right, let's get into things, shall we? Let's get into the juicy Mesut Ozil saga. Got to say, I'm pretty relieved this is all going to be over for a few months now, because it is quite boring and repetitive. But yesterday was certainly a very interesting day when it comes to Mesut Ozil. He released his statement. The first time I've heard from him since he was dropped from the 25-man squad, omitted from the 25-man Premier League squad by Mikel Arteta. And Mesut Ozil finally released a statement. I'm not going to go into it over it all, because it's massive and I'm sure you've seen it. But the key points, obviously, he said he was very disappointed. It was a difficult message to write. Questioned Arsenal's loyalty. Said, I pledge my loyalty and allegiance to the club I love, Arsenal, and it saddens me that this has not been reciprocated. As I just found out, loyalty is hard to come by nowadays. He goes on to say that before the coronavirus break, he was happy with his development under Arteta, but then things changed. He said he still feels like London is home. He still has very good friends here and strong connection with the club. He says we'll keep fighting to have a chance that his 8th season does not end like this. I think it will, unfortunately, for Mesut. He says, I can promise you this hard decision won't change anything in my mindset. I will continue to train as best as I can and wherever possible use my voice against inhumanity and for justice. Quite a telling final line there for Mesut Ozil, certainly hinting towards his thinking that the main reason for his banishment, so to speak, is for him speaking out against China's treatment of the Uyghur Muslims back in December. Obviously, there's been plenty of other things that have gone on since then. The pay cuts, he didn't take the pay cut like the rest of the squad did. That was during lockdown, and he hasn't played since. So I think it's, for my take on it all, I think you can't just point to that his comments about China. I know a lot of people have done, but I'm not sure that's the case for me. He made those comments in December. He played every single game up to March under Mikel Arteta, started every single game under Mikel Arteta up to March, and hasn't played since the whole pay cut story. But again, let's talk about Mikel Arteta's response, because he had his say yesterday. I thought Mikel Arteta was brilliant in his press conference. Fair play to him. Normally, he just shrugs this off, doesn't talk about it. But I think he knew that he had to say something this time. And I thought he owned the situation very, very well. He said, and I know a lot of people don't believe him, but he said it, and he was, Mikel Arteta, from what I know, he doesn't tend to mince his words. He doesn't tend to lie or try and cover things up. He said absolutely it was a footballing decision, nothing else. All the other stories he's read, including the pay cuts, is not true. I just thought it was really, really strong leadership from him, I have to say. He kind of said that he felt like he'd failed the situation because he wanted to get Mesut Ozil back to his best, but he hasn't been able to do it since he arrived at the club. Gave him a chance, didn't get him up to speed, and now that's why he's not in the squad. I know a lot of Mesut Ozil supporters, and I know there's lots of them, and I'm not saying they're not Arsenal fans, they obviously are, but I know a lot have been disappointed with those comments and don't believe them. But I think, for me, I haven't known Mikel Arteta not to gloss over the truth of anything since he's arrived here. He's been very, very forthright. He says what he means, and I back him on this one. I have to say, I think when you look at Ozil's form, it's not been great. His numbers haven't been great. I know he still creates more chances than anyone else, but you look at his assists over the last couple of years, they're very, very low now, and that's all the time playing a striker like Aubameyang in front of him. I just refuse to think that Ozil coming back into this team will improve things massively. He doesn't fit the formation either, so where's he going to play in this team? So it's very easy to just say, Ozil's got to come back in, we're not creating enough chances, but how does he come back in? Where does he play in this formation? And even if he does, let's face it, he hasn't been producing the numbers that he used to produce for a long time now. So it's disappointing. I've said it before, I've loved Mesut Ozil at Arsenal, but I feel this is the end. I feel this is the right time for it to end. Maybe it's sad that it's ending like this and he's not at least in the team or in the squad and contributing something. It's really sad to see it all ending like this and turning into this ugly PR war, which it's turned into. But it has. That's the way things have gone, and it's unfortunate. But I do feel now is the time to move on from the whole Mesut Ozil saga. It's certainly going to happen now because he's not going to play again for the club. It's pretty clear. Whether he leaves in January or stays till the summer, we'll have to wait and see. He's always maintained he'll stay to the end of his contract, and why wouldn't he? He's getting an awful lot of money. He's not going to get that anywhere else. So fair play to him. It's up to Arsenal. You know, they've agreed to pay him that money. They have to do it, and there's no way around that. So I imagine he'll probably stay to the summer, but I think in terms of Mesut Ozil, that is it now for his Arsenal career. Yesterday was quite a big day for it. He had his statement, Arteta's response, and I think the line certainly has now been drawn under that situation. So that's Mesut Ozil out the way. Now let's talk about a little bit of interesting transfer news that I have become aware of at the moment. Certain son of Dennis Bergkamp, I've been told, is on trial at Arsenal and has been at London Colney this week on trial with the under-23s. Mitchel Bergkamp, the son of the greatest player, in my opinion, ever to play for Arsenal, is in London and is having a trial with Arsenal in Steve Bowles under-23s. He's 22, Mitchel Bergkamp. He's currently a free agent. He's never hit the heights of any sort of top-level professional player coming through the ranks in Holland. He's been playing in the lower leagues in Holland. His last club was Almere City, which is in the Dutch second division. He left there in the summer. He basically spent his whole youth career at that club. Bergkamp had even been there as a coach or working in a technical aspect of things for the last couple of years there. But Mitchell left in the summer, and now my understanding is he is at Arsenal and he is having a trial with view to a possible move to the under-23s. Now, he's 22, so he's very old and experienced, but when you look at Steve Bowles' under-23 squad, they've not got many senior under-23 players at all. In fact, I think they've got about 8 or something like that who don't also qualify for the under-18s. That shows how young it is. And we saw against Manchester United in the last game, a lot of senior players were drafted into that team to make up the numbers. Cedric Suarez, Reece Nelson, William Saliba, Joe Willock, they all played. So I would think that this is if Mitchell was to sign and was to get some sort of a contract at Arsenal, then he would certainly help with the older age under-23s players. So I have to keep an eye on that one and see if something happens with that. It would certainly be interesting to have the name Bergkamp back at Arsenal again. If he's a quarter of the player that his dad is, well, not even a quarter, an eighth of the player that his dad is, and he'll still be pretty good in my eyes. Right. Match day, obviously Arsenal beginning their Europa League campaign tonight in Austria against Rapid Vienna. Bit of team news for that if you haven't already seen it. There's no Ceballos, he's got a ankle injury. There's no Willian, he's got a calf injury. They have both stayed at home. Shotran Mustafi is back for the first time since the FA Cup semi-final there. That really bad hamstring injury he got. He is back and he is fit and available for selection, and he is in Austria. Whether he starts, probably doubtful given he hasn't played in so long, but still very good to have Mustafi back. I still wonder if Arsenal do move to the back four that we are kind of expecting them to at some point, if Mustafi will become the right-sided player in that centre-back partnership, possibly alongside Gabriel, because we know Mikel Arteta certainly really trusted and rated Mustafi last season. Obviously, the issue is he's out of contract at the end of this summer, and if he's not, at the end of this season, if he's going to go in the summer, maybe Arteta will look to use someone who we can see more of a long-term outlook for at the club. But still good to have Mustafi back again, because he certainly showed under Mikel Arteta anyway that he can be a solid enough defender and a decent enough asset, because he was very good, let's face it, for the second half of last season under the Spaniard. So big game for Arsenal. They want to get their Europa League group stages off to a decent winning start. Mikel Arteta has certainly taken a strong squad with him, so that says how he is viewing the early stages at this competition. You kind of think that if they can try and get this group done and done with after the first 4 games, then they can give some youngsters an opportunity in the final couple of group stages games. But everyone's gone out there, your Aubameyang, your Lacazette, your Pepe, they're all there, David Luiz. So it's a very, very strong squad. Granit Xhaka's gone over. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who we spoke to in a press conference last night, with some interesting comments actually from Maitland-Niles. Please do head over to my Twitter or goal.com and have a look at that regarding what happened in the summer with all the transfer speculation and a possible move to Wolves. So I think it's going to be a strong squad. He'll certainly make changes, Arteta, with a view to that game against Leicester on Sunday night at the Emirates. But in terms of predicted 11, I am going to go with this for my one. Like I said, it's probably going to be very, very wrong because it's virtually impossible to predict for Europa League games exactly how Arteta is going to set up. But I'll go with the usual 3-4-3. I think Leno's going to be in goal still. I'm not sure Runnison will get his debut, so I think it'll be Leno. I'm going to go with a back 3 of Luiz, Gabriel, and probably Sead Kolasinac on the left-hand side of the back 3. I reckon Cedric will start as the right wing-back, certainly give Hector a little bit of a rest. Maitland-Niles on the left wing-back role. I think Thomas Partey will make his debut in midfield, probably alongside Mohamed El Neni. And then my front 3, it's a tough one in terms of the striker. I think Nelson will play. I think Saka will play. I'll go with Eddie. I think Saka, Nelson and Eddie up front, possibly with Laka and Orba on the bench. Maybe Laka will start ahead of Eddie. I don't know. I think probably the front 3 will be, for me, it'll be Nelson, Saka, and then one of Eddie or Laka. It's tough to predict that final one. Probably Eddie. So that's my predicted 11 for today. Sorry, rambled a little bit at the end of that one. Thank you, everyone. That's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support as always. Obviously, I'm here in my bedroom, so I'm not in Austria. None of us reporters are allowed over there because of the whole COVID situation. So no Arsenal reporters on the ground over at the game tonight, but I will be watching the game and covering it as usual from the TV tonight, and we'll pop on afterwards to talk through how I saw things and do my usual player ratings. I'll also be talking to Mikel Arteta after the game in his Zoom press conference from Austria, so I'll report what the manager had to say as well. So until then, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for your support. As always, do have a good day, and I will be back to join you at the end full time tonight.